welcome to Real Shame, a show where the two of us talk about our list of movie blind spots. My name is Andy.
And I'm Adam.
And last time on Monday's show, we talked about a Johnny Depp film from 1993 called Benny in June, which I was not a big fan of.
Nope.
But Adam paired that with another film from 1993, came out in December of 1993, also starring Johnny Depp, and it is...
What's Eating Gilbert Grape? All right, I pulled this one from IMDb. A young man in a small Midwest town struggles to care for his mentally disabled younger brother and morbidly obese mother while attempting to pursue his own happiness. And that's What is Eating Gilbert Grape?
Endora. Endora's where we are. Describing Endora is like dancing to no music. It's a town where nothing much ever happens, and nothing much ever will. Lamson Grocery is where I work, and miles out of town on the interstate, there's Foodland, where everyone else shops. This is where I live with my family. My dad built the house, and it's my job to keep up the repairs. Doctor said we'd be lucky if Arnie lived to be 10.
Is written by, I think I had this backwards, is written by Peter Hedges and is directed by Lasse Hallström. Lasse Hallström would direct Johnny Depp later on too, and Chocolat, I believe.
Chocolat, yep.
I think you have a couple other things around him, and we'll get into that. It's a movie that I haven't seen, you've seen, but it is your week, so I'm going to toss it over to you. How many times have you seen it? What do you remember about Gilbert Grape? Yeah. How many years are there? What do you remember about Gilbert Grape, and what do you think about it this time around?
So this is another one of those movies that it's kind of like kicking and screaming. It came out right around the time where I was just becoming a young adult. And so I identified with kicking and screaming and this whole notion of what are we going to do with our lives? Yeah. I identified very much with Gilbert Grape in this film. I was not a grocery delivery boy making house calls with Mary Steenburgen or anything like that. So, you know,
we all are.
The only similarity is that I was a young man who did not quite know what I wanted to do with my life and was
maybe living in a small town.
Smaller than now, but just. So I like this movie a lot back in I don't know if I saw it in 93, but sometime in the mid-90s whenever I saw it for the first time. It is one of those movies that I remember watching several times and watching with other people and saying, oh, you have to watch this film. So revisiting it now, almost 30 years later, I still like this movie a lot, actually. I don't, obviously I'm almost 30 years older, so I don't have that whole kind of aimless persona anymore. Thankfully, I did find out what I wanted to do with my life.
Let's be here with me.
I do have some stability in my life, but I still like it. I mean, I think this is a good film that captures small town slice of life kind of Americana. I think Johnny Depp's performance is good. It's not. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but it's not really. I think it's a great performance, but I think Leonardo DiCaprio
steals the show.
Really steals this movie. Yeah, I mean, just because he just disappears completely, I feel like in his role as Arnie, the mentally disabled younger brother of Gilbert that Gilbert has to take care of. But I find this movie interesting because I think, like you said, it's directed by Lasse Hallström, who's Swedish. So I was like, what else has he done? I knew he did My Life as a Dog, which I've not seen. That probably should go on my list. And I didn't know if this was his first American film or not, but apparently he got his career. He kind of started his career directing ABBA videos. Hey, he's Swedish after all.
If I could direct ABBA videos, I would.
One of Sweden's greatest exports, ABBA. He directed ABBA videos, but apparently this was
ABBA and Max Martin.
His second directorial film in the States. Maybe not Hollywood's the wrong thing to say. And then he went on to do Cider House Rules, which I know you love. But
I might not be a big. How do you say his name?
Lasse Hallström.
I might not be a big Lasse Hallström fan, maybe.
Well, and then it was shot by Sven Nykvist, who's, as his name would imply, also Swedish. He had a really long career. He worked with another one of Sweden's greatest exports, Ingmar Bergman. Shot a lot of Bergman films, shot some Woody Allen films, even shot Sleepless in Seattle, as well as some other, U.S. films. But I find it interesting. I say all that just to say you've got these two Swedish guys, but I feel like they captured small town life. I know the movie was shot like in the Austin area, but it takes place in Iowa. Yeah, because it's in Dora, Iowa. Because they talk about Des Moines at one point. His sister gets a job at a bakery in Des Moines. So Iowa, but Texas standing in for Iowa. But I feel like I identify with that small town kind of feel. I grew up in a small town, so seeing things like, instead of the Dairy Queen, it's like the Dairy Dream where his sister works. They're all excited about the Burger Barn coming to town, and when it does come to town, they've got the high school band out there playing This Magic Moment and all that stuff. I think there's a lot of nice touches to the movie. Maybe it doesn't have the strongest story in the world. I mean, it mainly is just about him kind of not knowing what he wants to do, and his buddies Crispin Glover and John C. Reilly are kind of just good old, yokel kind of guys, whatever. But I like the movie. I think that it's hard pressed for me to sit down and tell somebody what it's about, really, because I don't know. Again, it doesn't have like a super strong story, but I like it, and I'm not a big Juliette Lewis fan, honestly.
No, me either.
I don't dislike her, but I think it's the fact that she a lot of times plays characters who are kind of dingbats, they're kind of, but I feel like in this movie, she's not like that. She is a little, okay, maybe you don't feel that way. I feel like she's a little more intelligent. I like the whole idea of
she
her and her
grandmother. Like a lot of emotional intelligence.
Her and her grandmother just passing through, they break down and they just kind of spend a little time. Yeah. She and Gilbert have a very, harmless relationship. Very, I think they kiss and that's about it. They don't really have, they don't have sex or anything. It's very G-rated. They have this harmless. They spend the night outside the camper, like laying on the blanket. No, I don't think they're out there having sex while grandma's inside. Maybe they were, but I don't think so. But it's just this because he's cheating or he's having an affair with a married woman, Mary Steenburgen. So that's where he gets his.
Would he be having an affair if he's not in a relationship, or is she just having an affair?
Well, she's having an affair. He's doing something.
I'm being pedantic. I don't know. You said that and made me think about that.
But he and Juliette Lewis have a very kind of sweet, just very short-lived. Okay, well the car's fixed. Now we're going.
Yeah, but he gets in the car at the end.
Well, when they come back, he gets in the car at the end.
Oh, it's like a year later.
It's a year later.
Back?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. It's a year later.
Does it say
Did
a year
you not
later?
pay attention?
I guess not. I guess it was on my phone. One of those reviewers says.
Anyway, but I like the movie just fine. This is a good movie, and it's a heck of a lot better to me than Benny and June. What do you think about it?
For me, this is a really strange movie. I don't like it as much as I like Benny and June. The tone just felt. Yeah, I know. The tone just felt off for me, and it's just another one of those things that is just. I couldn't figure out where the movie kind of was trying to be and what the movie was trying to say. And for me, honestly, it just felt like the movie wasn't earnest. Like all the stuff that I feel like I said that about the Cider House Rules too, which is really interesting because I never really put those two together.
Lasse Hallström, yeah.
But it felt like I couldn't. It didn't feel like there was like a lot of veracity to it, in the way that it was portrayed and all that kind of stuff. And I can understand, Johnny Depp's, Gilbert's situation, and I think we all kind of go through that malaise where we're tired of where we are in life, and all we want to do is just leave and go somewhere else and do something else, and just the world is a giant oyster. There's a giant oyster out there for us in the world, and yet we're just stuck where we are. And if we could just get out of our own way, if we can just get out of our own life. Life would be better. And I think everyone goes through that in their life. But I think there is some truthfulness to it in that, but it didn't none of that ever resonated with me while watching this movie. It just felt, honestly, like I feel like, kind of like you said with Benny and June, if this movie was more elevated and it was more magical and real and more kind of like that and ethereal, I would have probably liked the movie a lot better than I actually did of this kind of, because it just kind of felt, I don't know, it just felt, I just couldn't get like a vibe on it, the whole time I was watching and stuff like that. Because some of the stuff they do is kind of like, it feels like it's like a send up, especially at the end with like what happens to the house and stuff like that. Like, that's a very like that's, I feel like the movie kind of plays everything pretty realistic. And then that happens and you're like, whoa, this is like, we kind of took a left turn in Crazy Town a little bit, what I mean?
I'm not a fan of the ending. I even back when I saw it back in the 90s several times, I never really liked that they just, their mother dies, and they don't want, because they're going to have to get a crane to carry her out of the house because she's big, and they're like, we don't want her to be a laughingstock, so they get most of the furniture and kind of valuables or whatever out of the house, and then they burn the house down. And it's like, what? Like, that doesn't... And I don't know if that happened in the book that Peter Hedges wrote, because I've never read it, but I would imagine it probably played out better in the book, probably better on the written page, but it seems to come out of nowhere in the movie. I agree with that. I do.
And I feel like at some points we're like making fun of the mom because of her weight, because
well,
they
he
do
does.
Well, he does, but we do like stuff with the beams at the down, and when she's walking around, you're seeing like dust fall down and all that kind of stuff, and it just like. It's like it's trying to have its cake and eat it too a little bit, because I'm like,
well,
you know what I mean? I feel like it tried to do everything.
I think, and I think I didn't see this as much when I saw it when I was younger, but I think he's a very flawed individual, because he's pretty crappy at taking care of Arnie in a lot of situations. Well, he's crappy at keeping him off the water tower.
Well,
I'll say that.
He is, but I will say, and sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the only person taking responsibility for Arnie.
Well, and that too. He's got a lot on his plate.
His mom basically won't leave the house, so she's ineffective, right?
Yeah.
And then his younger sister is the worst with Arnie, even though Johnny Depp does beat Arnie, which is unforgivable.
Yeah.
But that younger sister is just has no patience for him, and then I don't know what the older sister does, but it just seems like Johnny Depp's like, all right, Arnie's yours, you take care of him, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand that. He's not great because he can't keep him off the water tower.
But he's better than everybody else.
He's the only one that's actually trying to do anything with Arnie.
But he's sleeping with a married woman.
Yeah, crazy.
He does make fun of his mother, even to the point where the little kids want to catch a glimpse of his mom, and he's like, all right, and he like holds him up there, and he's embarrassed about having Juliette Lewis meet his mother because she's heavy, and he says as much. He's like, you don't want to meet her, she's big, and she's whatever. But then he kind of has a change of heart at the end. He's like, oh, I shouldn't be like that, and so he's more flawed, I think, because I think when I was younger, I just identified a lot more with him and thought, oh, he's just this cool guy, and he is a nice character. But he definitely has he's not perfect. He has his flaws
for sure.
But no, I it's funny because I know you too well. When I was watching this movie, I didn't think you would like it. But I obviously like it a lot better than Benny and June.
You're like, I like this. Adam's gonna hate this.
We differ a lot on that. But I think it's a good, again, as I said at the beginning, it's just kind of a good slice of life, especially if you have lived in a small town or grew up in a small town. I think that you will kind of recognize maybe some of these characters and whatnot. I don't feel like this movie has a lot of quirkiness, and maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm
trying to remember.
Yeah. I feel like they play it pretty straight.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it has any real oddball characters in it. I mean, I feel like it's fairly realistic. I do love the part where his sister's playing the trumpet, and she just like gives him the middle finger, and then he backs the truck up and like almost hits her with it. And I like that truck. I saw it's a 1968 Ford F100, if the IMDb trivia is to be believed.
Oh.
And the IMDb trivia
is always accurate, 100%.
That's like asking the crappy Oracle that's only right 40% of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like asking a Magic 8-Ball.
Hopefully that's correct, but I do like that truck. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I liked this movie a little bit better. I said, it just played weird for me.
I mean, like I feel like Cider House Rules is a lot quirkier and a lot more unrealistic. Even though I like the Cider House Rules, I feel like it's much more unrealistic than something like What's Eating Gilbert Grape. But yeah, that ending where they burn the house down is just bizarre.
It is.
It's very, very.
I think I said they would be in jail for burning the house.
Yeah. well, where did they go to live after? I mean, I'm sure they could go stay with John C. Reilly or whatever.
I figured they all went their different ways. Like I thought Johnny Depp
the little girl
Johnny
still
Depp
in
and
school.
Gilbert.
The girl, the Dairy Dream girl, right? Like
Yeah, I guess so.
She's playing trumpet because she's in band or something.
Yeah.
So. Or maybe she's playing trumpet because she
lives
likes
with
to play
Mary
trumpet.
Steenburgen. Oh yeah, the Mary Steenburgen killed her husband or something like that. Or
I don't think she killed him.
He had a heart
he had a
attack
heart
and he fell
attack
in the
and he
pool,
fell down into the pool,
which is so weird. It's so random. It's so yeah. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe your mileage may vary with this movie, but that's why we ask you to let us know what you think about the movie, because there are things that we miss. There are things that we all have our own opinions and we all catch different things while watching this movie. Yeah. But on these Wednesday episodes, we always like to. Oh wait, I'm jumping ahead, aren't I? What did the critics or the review critics say about this movie?
90% fresh. 89% audience.
Wow.
2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert.
Wow.
Leonard Maltin gives it 2.5 stars. And Leonardo DiCaprio was the only Oscar nomination for this movie. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He did not win.
Yeah, and I think kind of like what we were talking about a little bit with our Shine and everything, he does such a great, and Ray, he does such a great job of just kind of embodying that character. Yeah. Like you said, he disappears, so I can totally understand those nominations. He
wasn't Leonardo DiCaprio like we know him now. He was, I don't want to say unknown, but he hadn't done a whole lot of stuff that people had seen. So a lot of people, when they saw the movie, didn't realize he was acting. They thought that he was actually like that in real life, but that's how good he did in the role. He lost at the Academy Awards to Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh.
In The Fugitive.
Oh.
Yeah.
Looking for my wife or something like that.
I don't care.
I don't care.
All right. So now,
viewer question.
Viewer question time.
All right. Well, this week has been a week full of Johnny Depp movies, so we figured why not, as as something on topic, let's talk about what are maybe some of what is our favorite Johnny Depp movie. So do you want to go down his filmography, or do you want to just rattle off some off the top of your head? Where are you falling on your Johnny Depp stuff?
I mean, everything post 2000, I either haven't seen or, I mean, Jack Sparrow, he's fantastic as Jack Sparrow. But other than Jack Sparrow, I'd be hard pressed to find something that I've either seen or
Jack and Jill.
He was amazing. What is he in Jack and Jill?
Well, I guess he's uncredited as Johnny Depp.
Oh. Yeah,
there you go.
A lot of the Tim Burton stuff I skipped. Like I didn't see Dark Shadows. I didn't see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I didn't see all of that stuff. Yeah. Corpse Bride, even though he's not. I guess he's just voice talent in that.
Sweeney Todd.
I don't think I saw Sweeney Todd. Maybe I did.
The Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
So for me, it's going to be his golden years were the 90s for me. I think if you would have asked me this question years ago, I probably would have said Gilbert Grape is his best performance, and I think that it's up there. I think he's really good. But I kind of mentioned this on the last episode. Like Edward Scissorhands and Crybaby and Ed Wood and Dead Man. Even though I don't really particularly like Dead Man the movie, but I think he's good in the role. Ninth Gate is a fun kind of guilty pleasure. That kind of stuff. He's good as Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. But for me, I think if I don't pick Gilbert Grape, it's Crybaby. I love Crybaby. I think that's a fun movie. A lot of fun stuff going on there. So Crybaby. I have an idea of what yours might be, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I saw Crybaby years ago, so I barely remember anything about it. For me, I've seen probably more of his recent stuff more than his earlier stuff. I know he does, Donnie Brasco, he gets a big kudos for like that. He was in Blow a lot like that. I would probably say, honestly, I love that Pirates of the Caribbean movie so much that probably I like that role the best. But I would say my runner-up is I really like Dark Shadows. I can't intellectualize why I like Dark Shadows so much because it's not a good movie, but for some reason it really works for me. Like how weird and how campy it is. I really like Dark Shadows. So I'm kind of flipping through his list right now on my phone, And I think, yeah, maybe it's probably the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Him as Jack Sparrow in that first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, because that movie's so good, is probably my favorite performance. I meant, yeah. What were you thinking? I was gonna say that.
Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dark Shadows,
I'm
so
a book.
I can't comment on Dark Shadows. I don't know.
It's just so weird, and but I don't know, for some reason it works for me. It's just campy and weird. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I like the movie From Hell as well. I guess he plays the detective.
That's based on a graphic novel.
Jack the Ripper. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he does some cool and interesting things. I think, like you said, he's probably best as like not the main character or something, but when he gets to be more play these kind of caricatures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, again back in the '90s when he was kind of really hitting his stride or whatever you want to call it. I think he really did have a lot of range. I mean, I think he has a lot of range. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he doesn't anymore, but because he has taken a lot more kind of commercial roles and stuff like that, I don't view him as I once did. But I still think he's a very talented actor, and I like him. I like a lot of his movies that I have seen.
And I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan, so like all the stuff he does with Tim Burton, I'm not the biggest fan of.
Yeah.
Although didn't Tim Burton direct Dark Shadows, so maybe that's a. But like Charlie and Chocolate Factory is just, he's weird in it. It's a weird movie. Like we said, the Alice in Wonderland movie. I think Tim Burton directed the first one, produced the other ones. Those are just odd and weird and not cool. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's not great in the Fantastic Beasts movies are all terrible, and there's not a lot of redeeming about it. And unfortunately, Johnny Depp's not one of those either. So that's kind of where I fall on that stuff. But yeah, I probably the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. When I love a movie, and everyone apparently knows that. At least you do. So let us know what you think. What are your favorite Johnny Depp movies? Maybe Johnny Depp performances. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment down below. That'd be cool. If you're listening to us, shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. That's where we answer viewer questions like this one. So if you want to know what our favorite, Leonardo DiCaprio movie is, shoot us an email. Let us know. We will answer that question for you soon and all that kind of stuff. Like, subscribe, share the episode, do all that kind of social media stuff. That really does help spread the word, and we do appreciate that. We post on social media, on Instagram a couple times a week. So follow us there at Real Shame. And stay tuned next week as we cross some movies off my list of shame. We'll see you soon, guys.